Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Face Mask Fantasy.
Back to back
days. Yep.
Yeah, we'll see. It's been a little quiet today, quieter than maybe anticipated, but also,
well, no big moves. There's been a lot of little moves, but none of the big new moves that we've seen. We got the news on those the day before the actual league year started.
Yeah, right. At this point, though, the official start of free agency is the legal tampering period. You know.
Yeah.
Chandler Jones signs today, goes to the Raiders.
Yo, Jameson, is that real? Is Michael Thomas really on the move? And yo, Justin Flores, what's going on? Rojo Fish, what's going on? Theo, what's going on?
Rojo,
Justin Flores,
what's going on?
Absolutely. I just traded him for a late third and a fourth.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you can get 2 seconds for him off of speculation that he might be going somewhere good, do it right now. Do it yesterday.
Yep. Get a couple of... No.
Is that Saints thing real?
I don't think so.
Jameson.
I don't think so.
Where'd you get that news, bro?
Nah. It's not.
Maybe it hasn't dropped yet. I don't know.
It's just not real. But what's going on, everybody else?
That would be crazy if it happened. That would be absolutely crazy if it happened.
But you know, we're just, I don't know. Why you gotta do stuff like that? Just like make
hey,
shit up.
Maybe we just don't know. We don't know yet, and he's got a source. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not willing to call him out quite yet. But yo,
go ahead and say that's not the case.
Thanks for joining us today. Back-to-back stream.
Yeah, not always the case, but we felt like today made a little bit more sense than tomorrow for this week in particular. One, because it is the official start of free agency, which I think also technically is the kickoff of the new year. Is that correct? The new league year?
Yes. Yep.
So Happy New Year, everybody. You know, some people celebrate on
Happy New Year.
Some people celebrate on January 1st. We celebrate on March 16th. We're not like everybody else, but that's okay. We are all collectively better than the people that celebrate on January 1st. So yeah, Happy New Year. But yeah, just to really quickly echo, Justin, yes, do that trade immediately. If someone's willing to give you 2 twos, do that trade immediately.
Yep. Before they change their mind, because
before they're like I've made a huge mistake.
Those people might be a little high.
Right, could be. And Theo about trading Jalen Hurts, 2022. So the 212 this year and a 23 second for the 103 in 1 QB. Yes. Yeah, I don't think that's too much to give up for the 103.
I mean, that late 22 second isn't going to amount to much in this year's draft.
Probably not.
That 23 third from a top tier team will be a late, or 23 second will be a late, you're speculating at least 23 second, which will have more value than the 22 second this year, but still up in the air. And I'm guessing you're trying to go and get Malik Willis, or what are you doing?
Nah, not in 1 QB.
This is 1 QB? Okay.
It's 1 QB. I mean, just you're putting yourself in position to get.
Oh, well then definitely.
If it's not, you know, if we let's just assume Breece Hall and Treylon Burks are gone. I mean, you can get Garrett Wilson. You can get, if you want, Isaiah Spiller. Yeah, I would do that trade.
Yeah.
I would do that trade.
In 1 QB, absolutely. In 2 QB, absolutely.
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Right. Because if it's super flex, then it's like, all right, well, I can still take a shot on the quarterback.
What I always say is there any wiggle room to get something that the other person might believe is just a throw-in? Does he have a late third or what's projected to be a late third 2 years from now that you can just say, I'll do it if you add your 24 third.
Mm-hmm.
Just to see if you can add a little bit more value to whatever trade you can get. Unless you're Justin Flores and you get offered 2 second-round picks for Julio Jones, who's 33 years old.
For a cooked Julio. Yeah, man. That's highway robbery right now. Yep. Yeah. That's highway robbery right now. Make that happen, man.
What year are they? Just out of curiosity. Are they both this year?
Right, yeah. Is it a 2022 and a 2023, or is it two 2022s? Like, either way, say yes.
Either way, it's a win.
12.
But,
right.
Yeah.
Even if it's the 212, like, I'll take a shot on a guy this year for Julio who is toast. Like, I'm sorry, Hall of Famer. Not taking anything away from him in the grand scheme of things, but it might be over. It might be done.
Yeah, he actually lasted longer than I thought he would. For a wide receiver of that archetype, they usually fall off before the age of 32. He made it to the age of 32, went to a new team, fell off.
Then it fell off. Yeah, then it happened. Injuries caught up to him this year.
But
probably
we've seen Alshon Jeffrey and a couple of these bigger guys, Demaryius Thomas, RIP. These bigger wide receivers who rely on that size-speed combination fall off around age 28, 29, and he made it to age 30, 33. Which, props.
He's a freak.
Yeah. But at some point, age does catch up with you.
Everyone's got an expiration date. It's just a matter of when. That I almost feel rude. I almost feel mean saying that, but like it's true.
No, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
No question. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But that doesn't matter for fantasy in 2020.
But that doesn't help you for the year 2022.
Right.
So, but those 2 seconds, yes, sir, they do.
And Justin,
better chance to.
Just a plug, because you're on here. We're going to be going over a lot of the rookies moving up to the beginning of the 2022 season. So if you have any questions about who you should be drafting with those seconds, if either of those seconds are in 2022, come chill with us and we'll answer any question you have. And hopefully we'll get you the right players at whatever picks those are. We'll get you the players that'll benefit your team the most.
That would be good. That would be the most ideal. And that's what we're here for, to just talk through some of the rookies, talk through some of the guys that we like. What the fallout is from some of these moves that take place, and how to proceed, how to attack your draft and trades moving forward before the season starts.
That trade it's got me on a tangent, and I just want to ask the chat, what's the most lopsided trade? This is a question that we've asked before, but maybe not to this to any of you guys that are in the chat right now. What is the most lopsided trade that you've ever received? Because that Julio Jones one, if I got that Julio Jones one, I might be thinking that's one of the most lopsided trades I've ever received.
Just based on the fact that Julio is 33 and at the end, and one of those,
I think he's going to be 34. I don't even think he's 33.
Could turn into any type of contributor.
I think this league year is his 34th, age 34 season. So yeah.
Check that out real quick.
And it's this year. It's 2022. Okay.
He's 33. He's 33, and he turned 33 in February, so he won't be 34.
Right.
But I mean, the point stands.
Yeah.
He's older now. He hasn't.
And there's really only one landing spot where I see, he can go and get some sort of career renaissance.
Go back to Atlanta.
That's the Bucks. If he goes to the Bucks and plays with Tom Brady, I could see it. I could see a little bit of a resurgence as long as he stays healthy. But if he goes literally anywhere else,
I was just thinking go back to Atlanta just because they just need a warm body at wide receiver right now.
And Theo, first off, thanks for joining us. What's going on? What's the highest pick you would offer for Kenneth Gainwell. Hey,
it's funny you mentioned that.
We were just
it's funny
in
you
this
mentioned
situation.
Kenneth. You're talking to two people who made a deal for Kenneth Gainwell.
Yep.
What did I got a second
you
from
got a 23 second from a team that's projected to be good.
Yeah.
And this was before they didn't sign Boston Scott, but I saw writing on the wall that
they're not gonna bring him back.
Right. So
they're gonna let Boston Scott walk, which is a vote of confidence for Kenny Gainwell. So, that's a good thing if you're the Kenneth Gainwell owner. But yeah, I got a 2020. So John and I struck a deal. This was actually during the NFL playoffs. This was back in January, so it's been a couple months now at this point.
That's what you're gonna have to give up.
I got a 2023 second from John.
Maybe not
in
a
Superflex
second, but I think you got to give up a second.
Yeah, a second round pick.
Yeah. And that's the problem with doing a deal with somebody who knows what he's talking about. And Nick, you can't. I'm not gonna be able to.
I've been fleeced before.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to fleece Nick on a trade. So I got to give him what is equal actual value, and what's projected to be a late 23 second is pretty much close to the value. Now that's not saying that somebody out there who has him might value him at 2/3. But I think if you want to send an even deal, you got to send 2 seconds or 1 second. Yeah.
Again, now that more free agent news, but it's a defensive player, Miles Jack, who was released by, was it the Cowboys or no, the Jags? Expected to sign with Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh addressing their defense. Not that they really needed to, but adding another piece. So just throwing it out there. That just came down on Sleeper.
Yep. And Rojo Fish lopsided trade. I mean, yeah, that I would say that counts.
Oh wow.
I would say that counts.
You received AJB plus picks for a first rounder. Yeah, that counts.
Yeah,
that counts.
I mean, the picks are kind of throw-ins. Just the fact
that
you got.
I mean, but the 104 this year in is this super? It's even if it is super flex, it's gonna be Garrett Wilson, who I like, but I mean, we can't put him anywhere close to AJ Brown right now.
No.
Like, not
could
even
he
close.
turn into AJ Brown? Sure.
No, well, two different players.
Yes, but I mean, what I'm saying is, could he turn into wide receiver 6?
Yeah.
He technically could.
He could. I guess technically, in the most literal sense, yeah, he could. But AJ is there.
That's you're talking about a guy who's perennially wide receiver 6, dynasty wide receiver at his floor. Because people were talking about him top 3 before last season.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's great. That's great. Good job.
Pretty strong.
And Theo, you offered the 212 for Gainwell and he declined it. Do you have any other seconds?
Yeah, do you have like the 208?
Slim.
Something.
What's happening?
What's up, Slim? Like the 208, maybe? Probably, and then it's just going to come down to how high are you willing to go? Do you want to go up to the 205 or somewhere in that range? The 204 and up, I think there's going to be good players there this year. And so I would understand wanting to hold on to those picks. But I would come up 4 or 5 spots from the 212.
And I would also try to get a different, I'm not saying Gainwell's not good. Obviously, I traded.
No, and he gets a boost with Boston Scott gone. Like,
he gets a boost with Boston Scott gone, but maybe, I mean, he's in a tier with other running backs. And maybe just see if the 212 can get it done for one of the other running backs that are in the same tier as him.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean like a player for player swap? Is that what you mean?
No. like if you like Gainwell,
Oh,
you like. I mean, he's an ancillary running back, secondary running back on a team where the primary running back's a little bit ambiguous.
he's like in the Khalil Herbert range.
That's what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
what I'm saying is I should be a little bit better at communicating it. Maybe see if you can get Khalil Herbert for the 212, or maybe see if you can get Keyshawn Vaughn for the 212, and just shop around at wide receiver within that tier. Because Gainwell, I don't know how much you're willing to go up for Gainwell, but at some point you might price yourself out. And if you're willing to give up the 212 for another running back in that tier, maybe that's something you should explore.
Or see, like, maybe come down to the third round a little bit and see.
No, you got 209, 207, 202, and 201.
So I would start with go to the 209. If that doesn't get it done, if you're willing to dangle the 207, that's about as high as I would go. I was going to say maybe go in the opposite direction. See if you can throw a third round pick at Melvin Gordon.
Yep.
Melvin Gordon's older, but proved he still got it last year. But looking like he very well could move on. Now, he'd still probably be in a timeshare no matter where he moves on to. But, like,
and he loses.
Keep all your seconds.
He technically gains value as soon as he goes somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, he was pretty good with Denver last year. Like, I would definitely
but as soon as he re-signs with Denver, you have in mind that he was RB18 there with Javonte Williams. So then you have in your mind, okay, I'm selling the RB18 versus I'm selling an old running back who doesn't have a team right now.
My only thought there is you could get away with offering like the 305 or something for him.
Yeah,
that's just cheaper. Yeah, and it's more of a rental
last year. So yeah,
actually, maybe that might not be in Theo's wheelhouse because I know Theo's I know he's in a deep rebuild project with all these picks. So maybe Melvin Gordon's not necessarily the avenue you want to take.
But is Eno Benjamin available? We talked about Eno Benjamin. He's in that same tier with Gainwell, I believe, as a RB2 on a team with minimal competition moving forward. Eno Benjamin's only 22 years old, will be 23 when the season starts. Should be picking up almost that exact Chase Edmonds role.
And flying more under the radar than the likes of like Khalil Herbert and Kenny Gainwell.
Right.
Yeah, that's better. Eno Benjamin is better. That might you could maybe get away with the 212 for that, and I would feel fine about that.
Oh yeah.
I feel fine about that.
I gave up the 301 for Keyshawn Vaughn a few weeks ago. So I was looking to make around kind of the same moves you're looking to make right now. Is just to bolster your running back core with some of this pick depth that you have. So, yeah, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
And Slim, once again, what's going on? We got a kicker whisperer question.
Keep Bucker or the GOAT himself. I mean, so depending on if you're in a situation where keeping a kicker is beneficial to you. Okay, here's the this is kind of like an intangible that it's just a matter of, do you weigh this into your decisions? And not, and kickers, it might not necessarily matter. There's a mantra, or there's this stigma around the team that loses the Super Bowl, right? Like the following year is a bit of a letdown, right? They got so close. They came a game within achieving all of their goals and hopes and dreams, and they didn't win it, right? And then they come into the season and, they might sleepwalk through it a little bit. They're struggling. They don't have the season that everybody expects. This is the stigma around the Super Bowl loser and has been for some time. So, something to think about, something to have on your mind as it pertains to the Bengals. But damn, I am so on board Evan McPherson, man. He will be on a lot of fantasy teams for me for the rest of his career.
And the Bengals last year lost in how well they performed and how much they overperformed from where everybody thought they were going to be at coming into last year. Yep, they were really bad in conversions within the red zone. They were bad in converting red zone opportunities into touchdowns. which is why Evan McPherson got so much run last year. Now, taking into account that there might be a little bit of a step back from an overall offensive perspective.
Yeah.
We might see more of Evan McPherson kicking field goals next year if they can't fix that issue in the red zone and they take a step back. And even if they take a step forward, okay, you might not be picking up 3 points because he's throwing because he's getting a field goal every single time, but 1 point.
Yeah,
and he's gonna still be in scoring position more often than not. So I would go Evan McPherson, and I'm not the kicker whisperer.
It's two good names attached to two great offenses, right? But Butker struggled last year. Butker missed kicks that he should have made last year. McPherson did too, but McPherson's a rookie and had more. I think he had the most 50-yard field goals in a season.
Yeah.
So we can't bank on that again, but yeah, we can bank on the fact that he's attached to a great ascending offense great young ascending offense that will give him opportunities. And now he's got a year under his belt.
And I like the Chiefs, but they're relying on older weapons in Kelsey and then to a certain extent Hill, and they have holes they need to fill in that offense that aren't just get us some O-line, right?
Oh, man,
so
I like McPherson.
Yeah, I like McPherson more than Butker just because, I mean, we might see that offense stumble more soon into the future than the Bengals offense, which should be improving. Not maybe taking a step back just due to the age of personnel within the next 2 to 3 years. So something to think about. But yeah,
they also have a long way to go fixing their offensive line. They did sign Kappa away from the Bucks, and they will unquestionably address it in the draft. But if their offensive line is still, maybe they're improving next year, but they're a work in progress. If opposing defenses are getting sacks on third down, say, creating 4th and 10s and 12s from the 32 or 33 yard line. I know I'm getting very specific right now, but you probably get where I'm going with this. If the offensive line is also, still, piecing itself together and struggling to hold up here and there, there's an extra opportunity per game. So you can almost kind of put bad offensive line play as a vote of confidence in the kicker, as a feather in the kicker's cap, because the offensive line you could get them there, you could get them to the 30-yard line, the 25-yard line, but if the defense gets to third down and pins their ears back and comes after Burrow and gets him, that's McPherson's wheelhouse now. The Chiefs' offensive line is better, so slightly safer bet to hold up, and Mahomes has the time he needs to keep the drive alive. Not that Burrow can't do it himself, but so something to think about. I'm very high on McPherson.
And speaking of the Bengals, there's another running back. Since Theo, you do have Benjamin already. Good for you. Great pickup.
That's
but another
awesome.
running
Nice.
back, another young running back. There's a few of them out there. Jared Patterson. I know people are down on him because McKissick is there, but
we need to talk about that. But
we need to talk about that later. But Jared Patterson might have been a little bit more enticing when we thought J.D. McKissick was moving on, but he's still a young running back, second year in the league. And I'm looking at guys, who can I pick up now for like a third-round pick, late second-round pick, who can turn into Tony Pollard? I'm not necessarily looking for the guy that's going to turn into Eli Mitchell and James Robinson all the time. If you can find the guy that turns into Alexander Madison with these third-round picks, if you can just ship them off for a player who's kind of more ready-made but might be able to buy into some unrealized production, I think that's smart. So Chris Evans, speaking of the Bengals, pass-catching running back. Samaje Perrine's only on one more deal, or one more year.
Got it.
Yeah, and you have Jared Patterson too. Good job.
So he's got all the young running backs. Okay, so then I guess I think we can kind of just Yeah. Well, I was going to say we can kind of come back full circle and say go ahead and move up to the 209 for Gainwell, or off for the 209 for Gainwell.
Yeah.
But yeah, but continue. Anyway, you got Chris Evans.
No, but if you can go out, I mean, I'm looking at teams in league where I'm rebuilding just to see if I can pick up a Chris Evans, if I can see if I can pick up a Captain America.
Yes, sir. Sir.
See if I can pick up an Eno Benjamin. See if I can pick up I did pick up Kenneth Gainwell, and Keyshawn Vaughn. But something to think about. Chris Evans too. He's out there.
Yeah, Patterson would be.
Any other running backs that you can think of? Sleeper running backs that in a year, 2 years could be Tony Pollard.
Just trying to think
I'm
thinking I have Gainwell
Puka
on
Williams,
my mind.
Bro, come on, we're not digging that deep.
Who? Oh, Puka Williams. I guess I have Gainwell on my mind. It'll be interesting to see where Boston Scott ends up, if anywhere. And could he take a situation, like could he take an opportunity away from somebody? So actually some free agency news that I guess we could talk about that benefit or that impacts dynasty managers in some way or form. Dario Gumbawale signed today with Houston.
Mm-hmm. I
mean, you want to talk about a backfield that is at the moment wide open for opportunities. Gumbawale is not too exciting, and he's a little older at this point, but he's proven he can catch the ball. And Houston's gotten, not just the backfield, the offense in general. They're looking for they're still in a situation where they're looking for anyone to step up. So we'll see what happens and what they potentially get back in a Watson trade. But how old is Rex Burkhead? How old is David Johnson? Like, these guys, there's only so much that these guys have left. So they committed money to him, to Gumbawale. A little older.
Yeah, I don't think age matters. I mean, a little older, whatever. I don't think age matters to the Texans. They'll start whoever's on the roster for games on end. I mean,
yeah, they'll play all of them.
They signed Rex Burkhead, and they had Philip Lindsay last year, gave that a shot. They traded him to the Dolphins halfway through the season, right?
Yep.
But they'll just run through running backs until they find one that they want to stick with for a few weeks until they get injured. So yeah, I mean, Dario Gumbawale, if he's on your wire, see if you can pick him up. I wouldn't spend any draft capital on him.
Nah, probably not. I mean, if you could get him for like a 4th round pick, then it could be worth it.
And all right, let's talk about it. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. J.D. McKissic. Let's get into it.
That guy.
Let's get into it. J.D. McKissic broke my heart.
That guy.
Today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wrecked my video and my Antonio Gibson. He
Would
wrecked
you go
me
out and do
twofold.
like 10 best balls and get Antonio Gibson in every single one?
No, actually, I only did one, and actually, believe it or not, the one best ball that I'm still this slow draft. I got Devin Singletary in the 7th round. So for 24 hours, I was like, oh, that might not work out. But now that's like the one saving grace that I have right now. It's like, oh, well, okay, Devin Singletary. Yeah. J.D. McKissic had a deal with the Bills yesterday. Looked like it was a good move for the Bills. Looked like the Bills' backfield.
Yeah.
Right. Looked like it was a good deal for J.D. McKissic. Devin Singletary retains a 1st and 2nd down role. McKissic, retains value in his own right. And Antonio Gibson to the moon. Jared Patterson, very viable handcuff and a very intriguing option to roster and stash in Dynasty. And then 24 hours later, as it turns out, Washington never even offered this man a contract. Found out what Buffalo was offering, matched it, didn't go over, matched it. And J.D. McKissic said, yeah, I'm just going to go back to Washington. Like, see you later, Buffalo. And ruined everything. unless you're a Devin Singletary person in Dynasty.
I mean, it makes no sense. You
really
from a player perspective, if you're J.D. McKissick, unless you just like your home and like where your kids are at school and didn't want to move things, from that perspective, fine. But from a professional perspective, if you have a chance to leave the Washington Commanders organization, which has been largely viewed as not the greatest organization in the NFL by any means,
no.
and go to an ascending team who should be a Super Bowl contender year in, year out. You're 28 years old. Go to the Bills. Be their wide receiver running back hybrid for the next 2 seasons. Finish out your career. Get a payday on a good team. But you want to go and play with Carson Wentz and stay with the Commanders and that front office and that organization as a whole that doesn't have a lot of positive cachet behind it outside of Ron Rivera.
I guess he loves Washington.
It's kind of crazy, but maybe I don't know.
I guess he loves Washington. Anyway, yeah, needed to rip that Band-Aid off. Before it gets too far away from us, Rojo also had another trade he was wanted to get our opinion on. Same guy he traded with for A.J. Brown. Traded Aaron Jones, my favorite person ever. Traded Aaron Jones, a 2022 second.
Your old favorite person ever for your new favorite person ever.
For my new favorite person.
Yeah.
Who I have 0 shares of.
Is this your burner account? Are you actually Rojo Fish and you're like for real?
I am living 2 lives. I'm not who I say I am. Traded Aaron Jones, a 2022 second this year, so second this year, a third next year for Javonte and some draft filler. I would say that's pretty even. But in Javonte's, it's even right now.
That's a win. That's a win.
Moving forward, it's favorable to Javonte.
Yeah, as soon as next year or the year after, in 2 years, you're going to be looking back and thinking, I'm really glad I made that trade. And sometimes you got to make those trades. Mm-hmm. And that trade is one of those trades.
It's one of those deals, yeah.
Draft compensation, you throw it out the window in this trade. You're just getting off of a 27, 28-year-old running back who's been real good for basically the same kind of running back 7 years younger. 6 years younger.
Is he 7 years younger?
I think Aaron Jones is 27, 28, and Javonte's 22, 23.
Jones is 27. Will be. Man, they grow up so fast, man. Aaron Jones will be 28 in December. Jones will be 20, so he'll spend the first 3 months this year in is age 27, and then he'll turn 28. Javonte
draft picks out the window. You're saving 6 years of production. Great
Javonte turns 22 in about 5 weeks.
Great trade.
Yeah, that's a good win. That's a nice little win.
Keep trading with that manager. You seem to be making out very well.
You seem to be doing well. You seem to be fleecing that boy. I wouldn't say that that's a total fleece, just because Aaron Jones gets a short-term boost with the return of Aaron Rodgers. There's no doubt.
But he did that mid-season, so it wasn't even taken into account what was going on now. It was.
But Javonte,
that's
now look.
That's a win.
I agree. I'll just say I love Javonte. I'm not yet convinced that he will be given a workhorse role.
Doesn't matter.
Don't think. I understand. I'm just saying I don't think the Broncos go into the season with Javonte Williams and Mike Boone as their backfield. But again, Aaron Jones has been in a timeshare pretty much his whole career and has finished as a top 5 RB at least twice.
And if there's any young running back in the league right now who can approximate the effectiveness that Aaron Jones has shown through his career, moving forward, it's the hyper effective running back playing with the Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a great trade. Great trade.
Yeah, big time move. Good move.
Yeah.
Good move.
And Slim, off topic, watching All About the Benjamins, I'm crying of laughter. Yo, I haven't seen that movie in years. Have you seen that movie?
We're going back to like, was that 02, 03?
Yeah, Ice Cube and Mike Epps, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that yeah.
Ice Cube and Mike Epps. Yep.
Oh man. Yeah, that was
Boy,
coming off of the Friday movies, and they made that.
That's a good way to spend your Wednesday night.
Yeah, I need to watch Friday again. I'm sure there are things in that movie that haven't aged well into this social climate, but that that movie's still a classic.
Sometimes there's a movie where it's just me, myself, and I in my apartment, tucked away from the world. No one, and you can have that nostalgia, moment again where it's like, this movie was funny then. I can laugh at it now. I'm not hurting anybody,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying.
Kyle, what's going on?
What's going on, Kyle?
Thanks
for stopping by, man.
Yep. Latest trade was acquiring Judy for the 112 and a 2023 third.
Dude, stop. That's awesome. I love that move.
Good job.
Hell yeah. Oh, yeah. Crack a husky for that one, man.
Yeah, how old is Judy? Isn't he 23 going on 24? He's 22. He's 22
I was going to say,
I
don't think he's even that old yet.
That's wild. Yes.
Judy's... some people are out on Judy. I see it on Twitter. Well, people, these GD engagement farmers. Is Jerry Judy, like people will say, like, maybe Jerry Judy's just not even good. I'm like, just shut up. Like, how do you have the Twitter following that you do when you say stupid stuff like that?
It's because they say stupid things like that.
I know. They're called engagement farmers, and I hate them.
Yes.
Where they pose these stupid hypothetical questions that generate a ton of commentary, and then people click the follow button for God knows what reason. I'm like, yeah. Jerry Judy's good. He has played with awful, abysmal, atrocious quarterback play. Any negative A word you can think. In these his rookie year, he was forced into the number one role because Cortland Sutton missed the entire season after week 1. And again, Drew Lock was not good. That was the year where we very, very quickly found out, okay, Drew Lock's not the guy.
Right.
And
Jerry Judy didn't fit the mold of wide receiver that would really mesh well with Drew Lock, regardless of how good Drew Lock actually is.
Yeah. Cortland Sutton was the guy that was able to like prop him up a little bit.
Right.
And then last year, Judy himself was the one who got hurt. He suffered a high ankle sprain week 1. Missed 6 games?
And while he was playing in week 1, he was the best wide receiver on the team, and he had the best.
It was just like, I'm open. I'm open.
He 7 for 6 for 72 yards.
Yep.
7 of 6 for 72 yards in minimal playing time because he got injured in that game.
In like half the game because he suffered the high ankle sprain.
16 targets that game.
Yup.
And then he came back from the injury, wasn't quite himself, was working his way back the entire year, and never quite got to the heights that we had seen or glimpses of in that week 1 performance.
Right. Phenomenal trade.
22 going on 23 is one of the best route runners in the league. And yeah, you know what I think it is with people being down, some people being down on Judy. I think it's they can see what Russell Wilson worked with last season, and they're looking, all right, DK is Cortland Sutton, and we can see that. We can see the comparison. People don't quite see the comparison between Tyler Lockett and Jerry Judy.
Which is on the surface fair. I
think that's, but if you look at the difference between Jerry Judy and Tyler Lockett, Jerry Judy offers more. Jerry Judy can do what Tyler Lockett has been doing, but he also offers underneath the ability to work in the slot, the ability to work anywhere on the formation, the ability to route run any cornerback that he's up against. I don't think Tyler Lockett had that.
No. I mean, he's also got 3 inches on Tyler Lockett and probably 10 to 15 extra pounds of muscle. So I'm all in on Jerry Judy being. I love Judy.
The wide receiver 1 in fantasy for this team.
He
might not be the de facto wide receiver 1 on the team, just like Tyler Lockett wasn't the de facto number one for Russell Wilson in Seattle, but he operated but in the fantasy box score, lots of times you would look and he had more points than DK Metcalf. I think you're going to see a lot of that. So I love that deal getting
draft ADP. I mean, it's clearly going up because of the Russell Wilson. His ADP is for this year is 77. Oh man, getting those best balls. Draft yourself some Jerry Jeudy. I know I will.
Because that 112, you're hoping. And Kyle, I'm guessing it's a super flex, but if it's not, forgive me. You're probably hoping to land. You're hoping Jameson Williams falls to you.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'd rather have the sure thing, knowing that Jeudy is playing with one of the best run quarterbacks in the league. Yep. Knowing what we've seen from him already, getting 800 yards and 3 touchdowns in his rookie season. Mm-hmm. Yeah, great, big win. Big on that one. Theo, I think that's safe. And yes, I would give up the 202
rest
and
in peace,
207
Curly.
for the yes.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. If that's all you have to give up, yeah, man. If you can turn seconds into firsts,
do it.
Make it happen. And I know, Theo, you already have 4 next year.
Don't care.
Theo's going to draft the whole 2023 class.
Yeah, you know how good that's going to be for your future prospects in Dynasty? You know how
nice.
good that's going to be for you?
You are never going to have to rebuild again.
And considering, you have quite a few picks in this year's draft, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If they're like, I need a third, second round pick, it's just like, if that's what it comes down to, like, I'd just be like, yeah, sure, fine. Sure.
And honestly, man, depending on how you want to do this, if you got late first, say you're on the end of that Jeudy trade and you get that 112, try to move that 112 into a 2023 first.
Yeah.
Because even if that 2023 first becomes the 112 in a year, you're going to get a better player there. You just are. So that might be something to look into. But yeah, giving away 2 seconds for a first is absolutely a win.
I'd do that all the time. Or I would do that anytime I can. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, yesterday, we were talking about a few sleepers.
We were
talking about signings and stuff that have come out of free agency and what that means for another person somewhere on another depth chart. Mm-hmm. You want to go back to that? Finish that out?
We can. Yeah, sure, we can. We'll get to any other questions that might pop in as they come up. But yeah, you teased that you had a couple of rookies, a couple of sleepers that you had that we just quite weren't able to get to yesterday.
Yep.
But that we would talk about today. Yesterday, like Eno Benjamin was one of them. Semi Fehoko was one of them. Who was the other guy that you were talking about? It was another running back.
We talked a little bit about Chris Carson.
Oh, Chris Carson, because apparently he might be okay for training camp.
Right, and he was technically a sleeper of mine because I think you can get him for nothing right now.
I mean, you can all you have to do is say like, well, I like him, but like we can both agree, we just don't know if he's going to play again,
Yep. But, all right, CJ Uzomah goes to the Jets. They finally have a tight end. Great for them. Yes. Like the move.
The move. Good for everybody. Good for the Jets. Good for Uzomah.
You know who that's best for?
Who's oh my gosh, I'm blanking on who their waiting in the wings guy is.
Drew Sample. It's best for Drew Sample.
That's right. Sample. Thank you.
RAS above 9 for a tight end. It's barely above there. Does but he? RAS. Oh, Von Miller to the Bills. What? Okay.
For real?
Yeah. All right.
Von Miller to the Bills. Wow. Sorry, our resident Bills fan had to get excited. That's wild.
That is wild. All right. Now I can't be mad that they haven't re-signed Jerry Hughes. Okay.
You were just talking off stream how the Bills needed some edge rushers.
They do. Yeah.
They got him.
Oh, man. Von Miller. Let's go. Ha.
6 years, 120 million.
Okay, Von Miller got the Mario Wilson treatment, or Mario Williams treatment.
Von Miller just got
How old is Von
paid.
Miller?
Von Miller just got
How old is he? He's 32. We have him for the next 6 years.
32. 6 years. I mean, I'm sure that's
It's
probably
going to be a 4-year deal.
Yeah, that's front loaded, with some guaranteed money and
wow.
Dang.
Wow. Okay.
We interrupt these dynasty sleepers to inform you that Von Miller just secured the
fantasy
bag.
related, but oh man.
The resident Bills fan here had to chime in.
Now his sack numbers haven't been he's been good the past few years, but he hasn't had above 9.5 sacks since 2018.
Holy wow.
All right. Okay. Von Miller to the Bills. Let's go. Hope that defense is even better next year. And hopefully, if they're in a situation where they need to prevent the team playing against them from scoring for 13 seconds, hopefully they can do it with Von Miller.
Hopefully they can do that.
That's all I have to say.
Meanwhile, the Patriots just traded a 28-year-old top 5 guard, so congrats on that as well.
Meanwhile, J.D. McKissick's still on the Washington.
I can't talk about that, man. Let's go back to our sleepers.
All right, Drew Sample. He has an RAS above 9, which again, athletically, what you're looking for from a tight end.
Yeah.
Same athletic ceiling as Rob Gronkowski, George Kittle, T.J. Hawkinson, Dallas Goedert, Kyle Pitts. And he's in that realm. And most, if not most, because you can't say all, most tight ends who have top 3 upside in the NFL at any point in their careers are tight ends that have an RAS above 9. The only outliers that I can find, Mark Andrews right now had an RAS of 7.6, I believe. And Tony Gonzalez had an RAS of 8 something. Those are the only 2 tight ends outside of, that have had top 3 upside perennially that were outside of that RAS of at least 9 range. Drew Sample has that.
Well, there you go.
I believe he's 26, so he's not young.
He's 25. He'll be 26 in literally a month. Today is March 16th. He turns 25 or 26 April 16th.
And now, to this point, they haven't signed a tight end. And Drew Sample was one of the best blocking tight ends last year, which means he was on the field a lot. He just wasn't used in the receiving role. But if there's nobody else there, he might take some of that over now that he's moving into his age apex for a tight end, age 27. Same age that Tyler Higbee took the reins for the Rams and
he was a late
became
bloomer.
Borderline tight end 1. It's kind of what we're looking for from Sample. He could be a borderline tight end 1. Now, that's depending on a lot of different factors, but he has the athleticism and the role. That's all we're saying. Might not get that usage, but he has the athleticism and the role. So Drew Sample, if he's on your wire anywhere, that's a sleeper for me.
Grab.
Yep.
No doubt.
Yeah. I got another sleeper too. It's not a young guy though.
That's okay. Sleeper doesn't necessarily have to mean, a rookie or someone under the age of 24 or something like that.
So a extension that went kind of under the radar because it was announced amid a flurry of other news.
Sure.
Kirk Cousins got extended.
Yes, he did.
Extended for 1 more season.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll be there for the next 2 seasons at least.
Yep.
Who's his favorite target?
It's Adam Thielen. In the red zone, it's Adam Thielen. Justin Jefferson is the dude.
He's the number 1 receiver, but his favorite target, it's Adam Thielen, dude.
It's Adam Thielen. Thielen's the touchdown. Like, Adam Thielen just caught another touchdown.
24 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
I don't care if he doesn't get the yardage. He doesn't hit that 1,000-yard threshold anymore. I don't care. You know who else doesn't hit 1,000 yards receiving every year? Keenan Allen. Don't care. Now, Keenan Allen has a much better quarterback, but Kirk Cousins playing with Adam Thielen for the next 2 seasons, one maybe 2 seasons at least. You can get an age discount on Adam Thielen because there's probably a team that's looking at him like he's gonna age out soon. Don't want him off on my team.
Right.
But he's gonna be good for the next. He's gonna be catching touchdowns.
31.
He's gonna be catching touchdowns. Might not get to 800 yards even. He's gonna be catching touchdowns all day. All day. So Adam Thielen's another sleeper for me.
I mean, he's a safe bet for double-digit scores any given year.
Yeah, if he falls down to earth, he's getting eight touchdowns.
Right. Yeah, a down year would be 7 or 8 scores.
So he's a sleeper for me in Dynasty because I don't think you're gonna have to pay a lot to get him. I think you can get him for a late second. I think you can get him for if a team really is trying to rebuild and wants to get the aging receivers off of his team. I think you can get him. I mean, he's 32, isn't he?
He's 30. He will be 30. He'll be 32 in August. He'll be 32 in August. So
yeah.
I mean, you got to think he's probably got a couple more seasons.
He's the type of receiver that ages gracefully, which is why you like that between 6'2" and 5'11", 200 and something pound receiver that plays all over the the technician. That's why you like him. Adam Thielen is one of those guys, has been for a long time. That's why Kirk Cousins loves him. That's why the organization loves him. And because of that, he'll continue to
aging gracefully.
Now they're signing OJ Howard. What is happening? What is happening?
Bills are?
Okay. Yeah.
I have refused to believe that, or I have refused to let go of OJ Howard.
He's the ultimate. He has been the ultimate lottery ticket tight end with the crazy RAS that just hasn't worked out yet
because of injuries.
He has one of the highest RASs of all tight ends ever.
I've always been a fan of OJ Howard. It just hasn't happened because of injuries.
Yeah. But he was at one point a top 10 tight end with Jameis Winston. He had 2 seasons.
Does this knock Dawson Knox down a bit?
Yes. God damn it. Yes. Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
It probably does. It probably does.
Wow.
It probably knocks Dawson Knox down a little bit.
Well, buying window.
A smidge. Maybe not like a smidge. Knox is still
buying window. Go out and field out.
Buy Knox.
Try to get Knox on your team.
Buy Knox and sell the fact that it's now the OJ Howard show.
Yeah.
Man, look at the Bills just coming out of nowhere and being like, watch this.
Well, hey, the Bills the Bills know we're streaming. And they were like, yo, let me throw these guys a bone.
Let's give them something to talk about.
All right. OJ Howard.
There you go.
OJ Howard. RAS above 9.
There you go.
I think it's in the 9.7s. So
he's a not so sleeper officially.
I think he's only 27 years old. Again, age apex
he's young.
For tight ends. That's again right where Tyler Higbee started making noise, right around when Darren Waller started making noise.
Yep. Tight ends don't need to pop it when they're 24 years old to ultimately end up being good.
Honestly, that's when Jared Cook started making noise. These hyper athletic tight ends, sometimes it just takes a while. And with OJ Howard, it wasn't even taking him a while. He just, again, got decimated by injuries for a few years running. And then had to deal with, he got hype a little bit there last year. And then Rob Gronkowski came out of retirement and was just like, hey, I'm back.
And it was just like, yeah.
And then he's just like, okay, that's not happening.
Not happening in Tampa Bay.
If there's one landing spot where he can rehab his value, he went there.
What better situation to end up with?
Why that J.D. McKissic trade just doesn't make sense. But hey.
All right, that opens
OJ
things
Howard.
up for OJ Howard now. Just real quick, Kyle, you're set up forever. Congratulations. Just enough said. You're set up forever. And then what's just to Rojo Fish's question? Like, what's John Bates' RAS?
It's low,
It's low.
but they like him.
They like him, but they committed to Logan Thomas.
And he
Like
does
John
have an
Bates
RAS
has a
above
Logan.
9.
Who, Bates?
Thomas.
Oh, Thomas, who is the one who does.
Yes.
Yeah, John Bates has a Logan Thomas problem. The franchise committed to him. How old is Logan Thomas? I don't think he's not that old.
He's in his 30s. But the problem with John Bates is
Oh, he's 30.
even if he gets
will be
that
31.
number that role,
Mhm.
even if he gets that role, he doesn't have the
Not-
athleticism to
not
jump
the
ahead a bunch of other guys. He can be a solid, real good tight end in the league from an NFL perspective. He can be,
Sure.
and he probably will be.
Like
based
a
off
Cam
of-
Brate type or something.
Right, but he's not going to be. I mean, even Cameron Brate has elite athleticism. John Bates does not.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm thinking John Bates can beat Tyler Conklin. Which isn't
Okay,
bad.
I mean,
Tyler Conklin
yeah,
is a
that's not
perfectly
awful.
good
That's not
NFL tight
awful.
end. Right, but
yeah, that's fine. He was more than viable this year as a punt play. If you ended up not getting a stud,
right.
Conklin was probably a solid week 1 or 2 waiver claim, and
He probably
all right for you.
Yeah, he didn't lose games for you. He didn't win any for you, but he didn't
Right.
lose any for you, and that's the type
Sure.
of guy that John Bates can be. If I'm looking for a tight end to go after, he's not on that list.
okay. I got a name to throw out, like as a question. Like,
What's up?
the Browns released Austin Hooper. Does Harrison Bryant get an uptick in usage or work?
It's the David Njoku show. Harrison Bryant is there to block.
Njoku's is the athletic freak.
Harrison Bryant is there to block, and he will
Yeah.
be open in the red zone a few times a year. And that's the kind of, like, Harrison Bryant, that's fine. Again, that is valuable in the NFL.
John Bates tier.
Yeah.
John Bates tier.
David Njoku.
So Harrison Bryant could be Ty Conklin also.
Now's go out and buy David Njoku.
I think the buy low with Austin Hooper getting released, the price just went up.
I don't care.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Again, for these tight ends, even if even factoring in Austin Hooper not being there. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you anticipate having to spend on David Njoku? Throw back a tight end prospect that you have that you might not like as much and give him a third. That'll probably get it done.
Okay.
And David Njoku, again, also one of those tight ends 4 years ago, was a top 10 tight end for one season.
And he got drafted like it too.
Yeah. He's an athletic freak.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you look at other tight ends like him. Eric Ebron? A comp?
I mean, Eric Ebron has a 13, 14 touchdown year to his name. So
Yeah, that's the upside that you have with, you have a, if you go after tight ends with an RAS above 9, they have the upside to be a top 3 tight end for at least one season. So, if I'm looking at our TE2s, tight end 2s that have an RAS above 9, Foster Moreau. Been a huge fan of Foster Moreau because Darren Waller is aging. Tyree Jackson with the Eagles. Don't love him as much because Goddard is only 27, so he's going to be there for
Goddard's
a
in
long
the way, and Waller is presumably back healthy and in the way for Moreau.
Yeah, but he's going to be 30, 31. So
yeah,
it's a little like I like having Moreau over having Tyree Jackson because of that age thing.
All right.
We both like Adam Troutman.
Yeah, not giving up on him.
If Deshaun Watson goes to the Saints, ooh,
that would be good for Troutman.
Yeah.
I would have that stack in Superflex.
You would.
Oh, baby. I've committed myself to wherever Deshaun Watson lands, I will try to trade for us and create a stack, which by any means necessary. But
there are
conversation.
tight ends that have an RAS above 9 that I don't like. So, gotta caveat that. Not a huge fan of Gerald Everett. Not a huge fan
which is good though, because then you're not putting yourself in a shoebox where it's like you're just relying on a piece of data that is certainly helpful, but nothing is foolproof. So that's fine.
Like Evan Ingram.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Not counting on him.
Yeah.
A few years ago, the Patriots drafted Dalton Keene. He had an RAS above 9. But then they went in the next year and signed 2 tight ends for $8 million a year. He's irrelevant. So you gotta
the end of that.
You gotta look at the situation that they're in and look to see if there is a route to production, like with the Foster Moreau. If Darren Waller just hits an age fall off, an age cliff. But like Evan Ingram, not high on Evan Ingram. He has an RAS above 9.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Theo, if the deal ends up if it's you can't get the 2023 first, but you can get a 2024 first, I'm still pulling that trigger.
Yes.
Again, if you could turn seconds into firsts, I would say yes. If I'm acquiring the 2024 first, yeah, I would say yes to that.
Yeah.
The 209 to me, like the 202 has value this year. The 209
the 202 in any other draft, I mean, I feel like the talent that you're getting, even at 202, even at, if you're in a 12-team league, even at pick 14,
you're getting a good player.
There's a tier drop off after 7, pick 7, 107, and then there's another tier drop around 111. So that 202, you're hoping somebody from one of those tier gaps falls because of landing spot pushing up or propping up other people.
Yeah.
And in this year's draft, I don't know if that happens a ton. Again, speculation. But I'm willing to give that up for pretty much any future first.
Yep. I would acquire. Yes, I would do the deal to acquire the 2024 first. That's exactly what I would do. Yeah.
And Kyle, I know Nick already commented, I wish I had your wide receiver core. That is awesome.
Yeah, that's stupid.
That is awesome.
Plus 4 first round picks in 23. It's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Just to recap really quickly, we committed to hopping on today instead of the usual Thursday live stream for 2 reasons. One, in potential anticipation of more moves happening today. That hasn't quite happened, even though, a lot happened the first 2 days of the week this week. And then also March Madness starts tomorrow. The tournament kicks off, and obviously we want to, watch the games, right? Everybody wants to watch the tournament games. It's the first big non-football event of the year, at least as far as American sports go. So, John, if you've got any other sleepers, we can go through those.
I mean, while we're talking about tight ends, it's not technically sleepers, but I did just because the
we
draft
can talk
is coming
tight ends.
up, and we're talking to people who have an accumulation of second-round picks, and might be thinking of spending one of those second-round picks on a guy that's been compared to this year's Pat Freiermuth.
Okay.
And Trey McBride.
Okay.
And Trey McBride is not Pat Freiermuth.
Oh.
Trey McBride will get propped up because he is the TE1 in this class. But let me think of a decent comp for him. Honestly, a decent comp for him is a slightly more like a pro-ready Tyler Conklin type. Where he can come in the league and be a really good NFL tight end. But he's not going to be a guy that's putting up a ton of fantasy points. And he doesn't have that athletic ceiling.
Not that difference maker at tight end.
He's not the athlete that even Pat Fryermuth is. And yeah, I don't see it with Trey McBride.
Even though he's the clear-cut top option in this year's draft at the position.
Right. I believe, you know who I think he could be? And I think he could be a slightly less athletic Adam Troutman. A tight end who is real good at everything. Probably better at doing everything than a Tyler Conklin. But doesn't quite have the athleticism to put him anywhere near that elite tier. Adam Troutman doesn't have an RAS above 9, but he's close enough and can do everything so proficiently to where if he gets into a situation where he has a quarterback that is real good, he can vault into the top 10, and that's why we like him.
Mm-hmm.
I think Trey McBride becomes Adam Troutman or Tyler Higbee. One of these guys where real good NFL tight end, probably going to get paid a lot of money every year at some point in his career. But he's not a difference maker in fantasy. If you want to look at difference maker in fantasy at tight end, there are 2 names. 3 names really, but 2 names. Jelani Woods, Nick has spoken about him before.
Jelani, yeah, very interested in him.
Big combine riser. Jelani Woods.
Had a phenomenal
real
combine.
Interesting. Another tight end that people are kind of sleeping on, Daniel Bellinger. Depending on where he goes, I believe that he could go somewhere and be one of these high RAS tight ends that is stuck on a lesser offense. Not a lesser offense, but stuck in a lesser role. Daniel Bellinger could turn into Drew Sample, who we're hype on, or we're at least interested in, not hype on.
Interested in, yeah.
He could turn into one of these later round tight ends with a high athletic ceiling that can eventually find himself in a role. If he were to find himself in a role where he has that full-time receiving role, he has the athletic ceiling to be a top tight end. Might take him a little bit to find that role. He might be more of a Foster Moreau. But Daniel Bellinger's one of them. And Greg Dulcich. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Dulchic.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He's another
UCLA
guy. Very good, very high-end athletic tight end. Will probably go later. Was actually a guy that had people talking at the Senior Bowl. And is going to be a riser in this class. And he has the athletic ceiling that we're looking for. So there's 3 tight ends that I'm looking at. None of them are Trey McBride.
But also Trey McBride
is fool's gold to me. And we'll see if I get proven wrong. We'll see if he's an outlier. We'll see if he's one of those.
That's the nature of the beast of the business that we're in. Sometimes we're right, sometimes we're not.
Yeah. So, but I think he can be
Jelani Woods.
A high tight end 2 is what I think Trey McBride can be.
All right.
Any of the guys I mentioned can be top 3 tight ends based on the athleticism that they bring to the table. So keep an eye out on them. And Quinn Matthew, I agree.
Like
Brian
Jelani
Robinson
Woods.
is a sleeper for me too. He is.
Yeah, he had a good combine. I mean, he's a big. Robinson's a big body who ran. What did he run? Like a 4.5.
Or I think 4.5.
That was like a 4.53. I thought. Or
okay.
Could be wrong. I mean, hey, for his size, that's very good. Landing spot's gonna. Yeah, you could say that about anybody. Landing spot's gonna be key here, but I mean, the dude is built to be a bruiser. He's 6'2", 225. Like, he's got the makeup of a first and second down back. Like a bit of a Punisher role, and looked good at the combine. We'll see where he ends up.
I think
but
he
in a
can
class,
be a Ramondre Stevenson. He's
Yeah, and
taller.
that's good. I would
But
be fine with
yeah,
that
I
in
think he
a
can be in a
running
Ramondre
back
Stevenson.
class where you have your top 3 and there's a lot of question marks after that. I mean, he's a name that won't cost a whole lot in rookie drafts. See what type of camp battle he's going up against. But he's depending on where he goes. Where like a situation that would make.
I'd love to see him on the Bucks.
Okay, I was gonna say like the Chargers.
Yeah, them too.
Like a team that just they have pass right. Like the Bucks also fit that mold. They have guys who could be like pass catching scat backs and all that, but they don't have that guy who can just punish and plow forward. Yeah, the Bucks would make sense. I don't know necessarily that he's like a scheme fit for the Chargers, but that's a landing spot that comes to mind where it's like I would pounce all over that.
Yeah.
But yeah, if he lands with, say, you mentioned Ramondre. If he were to land with not that the Patriots are going to take him, but if that were to happen, then it's like, well, now that's 3 guys that's a whole situation I'm like not sure what to do with. But a team that has a strong like the Saints would be a good spot. And he would be really, really interesting, especially if Kamara misses time to start the season.
Yeah, there are a lot of good landing spots for him, but I like him.
That's a team.
He's big.
Yeah,
and
that's
fast.
A team that the Saints have history of success in the backfield running the ball. That would be a good spot for him. Because I don't know about Tony Jones down there.
No.
Yeah, I'm not feeling Tony Jones. And Mark Ingram does he even have a does he have a contract with
him? But he is one of those guys where I'll believe in him until he shows me I shouldn't. And
Ingram, that's
keeps
fair.
Going.
He's been on so many of my fantasy teams.
And Rojo Fish, what do you guys think about Ty Chandler and Kevin Harris? You have a bunch of picks in this upcoming draft. Need some insight on the deeper round running backs. Now, I still need to do a little bit of homework on some of these running backs that are now rising up, because the guys that I'd done work on, I mean, a lot of them fell off. I did work on Tyler Algier. He tumbled. I did work on Kyron Williams. He tumbled. I did work on Zach Charbonnet a long time ago. He didn't even declare for the class. So I need to pick up on some of these guys. What I can say about Ty Chandler is, when I watch his tape, he looks like a guy that I would want on my team, meaning he looks like a guy that I would want on the Bills. He looks like a guy that I would want on my favorite NFL team. That's really all I can say about him as of right now. I don't have any comps for him. I would need to look up his measurables as to what he did in the combine, but pre-combine, when I was watching tape on him, I liked him. Thought he could be a versatile piece. I don't know where he's going to go, but I'm intrigued. Landing spot will say a lot for him because he is a later round running back, but he's one of those guys that I'm definitely going to be looking at in the 3rd round. Kevin Harris, I don't know too much about him. Do you know anything?
I don't. Not about Harris.
Yeah.
That'll come. It'll come.
Mike Diggs, I didn't even know. Yeah, what's going on, bro? I didn't even know he had a pro day today.
I didn't know. He's UCLA, right? I didn't know they had their pro day today. But also I know he had a pretty good combine, so and the Senior Bowl. Definite tight end sleeper in a class that's
not very good.
Lacking, right? You know.
And Quinn Math, you think Jahan Dotson is the best receiver in this class? That's saying something.
I like Dotson. I mean, time will tell. I think he's outside the top 5 right now as far as consensus prospects. But, they're called prospects for a reason. Nothing's a sure thing at the moment. I mean,
honestly, he's my wide receiver 8 in this class. So I don't agree with you, but it remains to be seen. My rankings will probably be very wrong.
They could be, right. We could all be like, well, that wasn't correct. But yeah, we're kind of, just starting with guys that are right around him. Pickens, I think we prefer Pickens. I like the upside of Jameson Williams. I know he's not going to play right away with the coming off the ACL, but I'm very intrigued by his upside long term. And then those are obvious names anyway, but all the other obvious names up front, best in the class. Not sure. The 4.41 was great to see in the 40. That was awesome.
It was.
That was a lot. I was like, let's go, dude.
But there are faster guys in this class that have better receiving, but have better tape. That's all I'll say. Chris Olave, faster, better tape.
Yeah.
But I like Jahan Dotson. I'm hoping I can get him at the beginning of the second.
Dotson's not a guy where I'm like, I'm out on him for whatever
not
reason.
at all.
I'm not out on him. Definitely like him.
I just don't think he's the best receiver in this class. But again, I could be wrong. You could be right, man.
Yeah. Let's see what happens.
And I like Julio to Arizona. I don't think he would fill the Kirk role. I think he would fill the AJ Green role. And I think that would be
AJ Green role.
Perfect. That would be a perfect fit for him.
I feel like AJ Green showed us a little bit more than Julio did last year. If they were going to do that, why don't they just bring AJ Green back?
He showed more help. Julio might be cheaper. And for a team that's strapped for cash because they gave James Conner $21 million for over 3 years. I like Arizona being the landing spot for Julio, and I think he would be a good AJ Green replacement as long as he can stay healthy. And AJ Green, we were in the same spot last year in 2021's offseason. We were thinking, AJ Green, really?
Done.
He's always injured. He's done. He could have a little bit more of a resurgence than we're thinking of, as long as he can stay healthy.
Yeah. Well, we weren't totally wrong. We were not right to say he was done. We weren't wrong to be totally off him, but he did more than I expected, and I was happy to see. I mean, I'm not, I like, you want to talk about, talk about a fantastic career.
But we thought Rondale Moore was going to pick up, like he was going to hit the ground running and be.
Rondale Moore picks up the Kirk role. The Kirk role is filled by Rondale Moore.
But last year, we were predicting Rondale Moore was going to take over that offense relatively quickly and be the number 2, and it wasn't him. It was AJ Green for the majority of the season, and then Kirk.
It was Green and Kirk.
There. Yeah.
Moore mixed in. Moore flashed early, and then by week 3 or 4,
he got a ton of targets early, and that's how he flashed.
Got work. And first few weeks, he got a lot of work.
Yeah.
But then after that, it kind of petered out.
Yep.
Even with DeAndre Hopkins missing.
But I said it yesterday, for anybody who wasn't here, I think he can be Cole Beasley for the Arizona Cardinals moving forward. So
let's go Rondale.
Yep. Rojo Fish, are we in on Zamir? Yes. I don't care about those 2 ACLs. He ran at 4.40.
Yeah, I like Zamir White.
He ran at 4.40. I don't care about the ACLs.
He should be fine.
You don't run a 4.40.
Was he 6? Yeah, he's 6.
With bum ankles or knees or whatever.
And he's got the makeup. He's got the body. I think he eventually becomes, he's probably the type of dude. I mean, I hate saying cliche things because every backfield is a committee these days, except for 1 or 2. But I could see him being the first and second down guy in a committee, which is a pseudo starter.
Yeah.
It's essentially the starter. He's 6 feet tall. He's over 210 pounds. He's got the frame. He's got the physical makeup. Won't be a workhorse. Won't be a bell cow. But I think in a committee, he's going to be a nice complement to a pass catching back somewhere, wherever that is, and he's going to do fine.
My comp is, and don't get mad at this comp, but my comp is Jordan Howard.
Okay.
Very good at just
I don't
taking
hate that.
handoffs
No,
and
that's
running
fine.
the ball. He has 2 1,000-yard seasons under his belt,
physical
and
guy.
one of them, and the season after season 3, he just missed out. Was always in that 6 to 9 touchdown range. But he might be a guy that falls off early because he has those 2 ACLs, and maybe he's not Frank Gore, who can recover from 2 ACLs and be playing at age 36.
Right.
Maybe he is just real good for the
Maybe
next
he's a little more fragile.
3 to 4 years, and then he falls off. Maybe teams get disinterested in him because he can't catch the ball. He has really bad hands. So he's going to need to be a first and second down running back.
Yeah.
But I think he has more pass protection chops than a Ronald Jones. So he's not going to be pushed out of an offense because of what he can't offer. At least not to that extent. But I could see him being on a team for 3 seasons and them getting usage out of him and he being valuable for fantasy. And then maybe injuries pile up. Maybe he gets exposed for not being the most versatile back in the world from a passing game perspective. And then he just becomes a role player from then on. And that's kind of what I could see from Zamir White. Absolutely somebody that you should still be looking at in the top of the second round.
Yeah, I think he'll be all right. I think he'll be fine.
Yep.
Not too worried about the ACLs.
What do you think about Jerome Ford, bro?
I don't know.
And Rojo, thanks for the kind
I didn't
words.
know he backed up. I didn't know he was the backup to Jared Dokes.
Jerome Ford?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How you like that?
Your boy.
Dokes was like a 7th rounder. I don't know. What do you got?
Landing spot dependent. With
Yeah,
a lot of these,
okay. I mean,
with a
you
lot
could-
of
I
these
mean,
later running
it's
backs like Ty Chandler, like Pierre Strong, I know he should probably rise up because he had that great combine. But like Jerome Ford, you know,
I like Pierre Strong.
the guys that are in that tier below Zamir White, below Rashad White,
The 4.46 40 is good.
it's landing spot dependent. So I can't really speak. I've seen running backs that I like be undrafted free agents. I've seen running backs that I didn't really like be 3rd and 4th round picks. Depends on the landing spot. But he's a solid prospect.
He can catch the ball, so I always always gravitate to to running back prospects who can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can do that. That's positive. At 5'11", he's maybe that's the role he's headed to. He's bigger. I agree. He's bigger than your average 5'11" back. Maybe he's like some type of weird hybrid 3rd down guy, but he's like a bigger option for that role. But being a I don't know if I wouldn't pigeonhole him as just a pass catcher, but being a viable pass catching option out of the backfield with sub 4.5 speed.
That'll get you a role.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You'll be involved somewhere, somehow, some way. Maybe more of a later 2nd round pick in rookie drafts. I don't know if I'm he's maybe not necessarily a top 15 option in 12 team rookie drafts, but end of the 2nd, there are worse flyers to take.
Yeah. And you want to know our thoughts on Rashad Bateman year 2 and AJ Dillon in general? Hey, we both love AJ Dillon.
I love AJ Dillon, man.
Love him.
You want to talk about perfect landing spot? He quietly became the Packers' leading rusher this year.
Yeah.
Now, Aaron Jones missed a couple of games, missed like 2 games, 3 games.
But in the games that he missed, he scored like 2 to 3 touchdowns. Remember that game where Aaron Jones left?
Dillon
and AJ
popped
Dillon
off.
had 3, and you called it. You were on a stream the night before. I remember this. On the Saturday night before.
I don't.
You don't? When
I don't remember this.
When you said, yo, everybody should be playing Dillon, and then Aaron Jones got hurt and Dillon popped off for 3 touchdowns. You don't remember that?
I don't.
Bro,
I mean,
that was one of your biggest wins last year. That was.
I can't take credit for. Obviously, I can't take credit for calling an injury. But
no, but you won people.
I was high on Dillon that week just for the situation, I guess, probably.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see what week that might have been.
It was the week
10,
where AJ Dillon scored like 3 touchdowns.
I don't think he had a 3 touchdown game, but he had multiple 2 touchdown games. Yeah. Okay. All right. I mean, look, here's the thing about Dillon. He is going to be an awesome piece to have in your running back group every single second half of the season because it gets cold in Lambeau faster than most places. And when it gets cold, you want to give that ball to your big body back, to your bruiser, and let him punish people in sub-zero temperatures when it's miserable for defenders to try to tackle a man of his size.
Yep.
And that's just talking intangible. That's not even the fact that he's a bruiser with soft hands. He catches the ball well. I think Dillon.
I believe it was only 2. It was only 2.
I don't think he had a 3 touchdown game, but he had a couple 2 touchdown games, including championship week. Week 17, he had a 2 touchdown game against the Vikings. I remember that.
Boom.
That one I remember. His second touchdown was like it was the AJ Dillon-esque. It was Derrick Henry-esque. It was just get out of my way. I am bigger and stronger than you, and there's nothing you can do about it. He ran over a safety for the Vikings. It was beautiful.
No, he's a beast. If there's anybody in the NFL that could be Derrick Henry from a athletic profile, size, speed combination, it's AJ Dillon.
Yeah, he's close.
Not saying that's who he's going to become, but if you're just looking at him from a size, speed combination aspect, AJ Dillon can be Derrick Henry.
Yep.
Not too many guys. You can't say that about too many guys.
No. The next closest in that tier, what I would say, is Ramondre.
Yeah.
But
and Rashad Bateman.
Man, I want to believe in Bateman. I do. I want to believe in Bateman.
I wish he went to a more exciting landing spot from a passing game perspective.
I think it's okay. The Ravens threw the ball a good amount last year. Here's the thing with Bateman. I think we have to, if we're going to give a pass to Jerry Jeudy, I think we got to do the same with Rashad Bateman, because remember, he suffered core muscle surgery, or he underwent core muscle surgery in the offseason and missed a massive chunk of his rookie training camp and when that happens,
not on the field for the first 4 to 5 games.
You're behind the 8 ball as a rookie. You're sunk before you start. There's nothing he could have done about that other than not get hurt. But come on, you can't hold that against him. I think the jury is still out on Rashad Bateman. I don't think he's a superstar, but I think he's a viable player. I think he's a good compliment for the Ravens, actually, because they have an elite option at tight end in Mark Andrews, and he's a good compliment to Marquise Brown, who is a burner. Bateman's more of a possession guy, with a big body possession receiver.
Yep.
I think the landing spot is fine. The Ravens. Now, again, a good amount of this was out of necessity last year because of the situation in their backfield, but they threw the ball more than they ever have with Lamar Jackson as their quarterback. They threw and Lamar was pacing before he got hurt for more pass attempts, again, for the most pass attempts in a single season for his career.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to come back to earth a little bit this year if the Ravens are able to get back to their normal bread and butter of their dynamic rushing attack because J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards is back? That's fair. That's a safe assumption to make. That's a safe bet to take. But the Ravens proved they're willing to air it out and open it up if they have to. And Lamar himself proved he can do it.
Yeah.
Anytime you hear somebody say Lamar Jackson's a running back playing quarterback or he can't throw the ball, you can ignore that.
That's just wrong. That's just wrong.
You can ignore that person.
That's outright
wrong. Those attempts at trolling, because that's what they are, have been debunked. Lamar can throw the ball. I think the landing spot is fine for Bateman. In a redraft of the 2021, in a 2021 rookie redraft, I'm not sure that Bateman goes as a first-round pick once again.
No.
But the upside is still there for him to have a solid NFL career.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he somebody I'm looking at kind of like a slightly better Christian Kirk. So like
from
receiver,
a size perspective.
Yeah.
So I would say
maybe a little bit more versatile Brandon Ayuk with less.
I mean,
playmaking.
I was going to say you mentioned his name a little bit earlier. He's not as big, but I think he's like an Alshon. Like an Alshon Jeffrey. He's like a bigger body. He's not the fastest dude out there. But he's a smart player. He gets open. He reads the defense well, and he can use his size to his advantage. Maybe he's a little faster. Maybe he's a little faster than Alshon, like a faster Alshon. Maybe not as big, maybe not as physically imposing, but that's his game. He's going to be like a possession receiver.
Robert Woods, Christian Kirk, one of them types.
Sure.
Just
Kirk,
taller.
I think, is more of a slot guy, but
okay,
sure.
Robert Woods.
But Bateman
His
can go
ceiling is
inside
Robert
and out.
Woods.
Sure, fine. Yeah, that's fine. Bateman can go inside and out. He's not going to kill you with his speed, but what did Cooper Kupp run in the 40? Literally, who cares?
And Robert Woods, I kind of like that comp because Robert Woods, for the first 4 years of his career, was stuck on a team that didn't quite know how to unlock him. And I feel like Rashad Bateman might get stuck in that tier of player as a player where, like, we know you're better than being a fantasy wide receiver 3, but you're a fantasy wide receiver 3 because that's the offense that you're in. And then maybe he goes to an offense that thinks, man, he can be better as long as we hyper target him. Mm-hmm. And then he becomes a fantasy wide receiver 2 because he is good at doing everything. So I think that's kind of the situation he's in. You just might have to wait a little bit for Rashad Bateman. It might not happen in year 2. It could. I think
it could because he's presumed. I mean, if we assume health, which we always have to do, you can never assume injuries. We always are operating under the assumption that a player is going to be healthy, right?
Yeah,
for better or worse. He's going to have his first healthy offseason. He's in his second year. He won't be behind the 8 ball as a rookie, learning the playbook and getting up to speed and missing time and valuable time in training camp. Training camp time is so valuable for young players. And he won't have that issue this year of missing it. The core muscle surgery is behind him. Now I got to look at Bateman's redraft ADP and how many shares am I going to have of him this year?
I like Bateman. Don't get me wrong. I really like Bateman. I just don't know if it's going to happen in 2022.
Okay,
and I think he will be held back to a certain extent by the fact that the number 1 wide receiver in the offense is a tight end, and he's fighting for scraps with a more boom bust, but a more proficient scorer in Hollywood Brown. He's going to be held back.
Bateman's ADP is 87. That's a little higher than I thought it would be. Okay.
But I like the talent.
I still like him.
I like the talent. You might be able to buy after this year at a lower value.
Still like him. Championship week 17, he drew 10 targets. So, like, the work and opportunity is there.
Yes.
So yeah.
No
And yeah,
Sammy
Rojo,
Watkins
I know.
there. They're looking at getting rid of Miles Boykin. They're looking for a trade candidate for him. You might just get cut.
Yeah,
So
he's not
there's going to be more available targets. He won't be fighting for scraps with Sammy Watkins for the whole season. So, yeah, I like it.
And you already mentioned it, but yeah, Rojo, appreciate the kind words and coming through and hanging with us as always.
Absolutely. And to Jay Ajayi's knees.
Is that Zamir
White?
Is that a reference to Zamir White?
AJ Ajayi was great, or Jay Ajayi was great for 2 years, 3 years.
He had a 3-year run where he was absolutely
that
fantasy
might just
viable.
be what we're looking for from Zamir White, and that's fine.
Yeah, I hope it's longer for his sake, but if it's not, I mean, he still has a chance to. Still has a chance to,
There's nothing wrong with a hot 3 years.
Stamp his mark on the NFL. Yeah.
Somebody said he's now getting rid of Todd Gurley. Speaking of a hot 3 years, but Mike Diggs, thoughts on Dameon Pierce? Great Senior Bowl. By most accounts, he came out as the top running back after the Senior Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't light the world on fire from an athletic perspective. But again, a running back doesn't absolutely need to. It's just a plus.
Sure.
I'm kind of looking at him like I'm looking at a Zamir White. And it's, again, landing spot, just like you said. But
more of an influencer for running backs because there are just so much more out of their control. Which to your point about if you're not necessarily an athletic freak of nature, doesn't hurt you.
Right.
Doesn't hurt you at much.
No,
but
that
yeah,
helps
I mean,
if you're an athletic freak of nature, but
5'10" on the that's still ideal size for a running back, but 218, I mean, he's got the frame.
Yeah. And at the Senior Bowl, he was voted one of the best, if not the best running back there among a bunch of other seniors, including Brian Robinson, who was there. And Dameon Pierce, and there was one other guy, he's one of those guys with 3 names. But Dameon Pierce was one of the, if not the top running back at the Senior Bowl, so that he's one definitely to watch out for. Definitely. And I'm trying to find that other running back that did real well at the Senior Bowl. Give me a sec.
You do that.
But I think we're just about done with the stream.
Yeah, I think we're coming up on the end here. Yesterday was a bit of a marathon, but we wanted to come hang. Consecutive for a consecutive day. One to just to mark the official start of the league year, and then also again one more time free up tomorrow with the start of the NCAA tournament. Yep. Give you guys some opportunity. Give you guys some time to fill out your brackets for any basketball junkies that are in here, or even if you're not a junkie. I feel like the tournament. The tournament's one of those things that pulls in casual fans as well. It's just fun to do. Fun to check out, be a part of. So that'll be a fun little thing to do for tomorrow. So we wanted to free up that time slot.
Yo, Quinn Math with the hot takes. Jahan Dotson, wide receiver 1, and Brian Robinson Jr. being a better than running back than Breece Hall. No cap. Hey.
There were people that were probably saying similar things about prospects against, like, say, Trey Sermon last year, and it looked crazy then, but it doesn't now. So, I mean, hey, plant your flag where you want to.
Well, no, anybody saying that. I mean, I think in this situation,
Hall's a little bit more of a short.
That's like saying Brian Robinson Jr. is better than Breece Hall, no cap, is like saying last year Trey Sermon is better than Najee Harris, no cap. That's how I am looking at it.
Okay. That's how you think. That's the case. I mean,
I'm not going to call you insane, bro. I respect that you are willing to go out of
you're not saying
if
you have your feelings, you have your opinions, If you like a guy, then you like a guy. That's all there is to it. At the end of the day, it's a guessing game. It's a calculated guessing game. But
and Brian Robinson could go to the greatest landing spot of all time and then that's better all than Breece Hall.
And then that's all it takes.
I could be very wrong.
Stick to your guns.
Yo, and where you at, Quinn? Where you at? What's the
local radio?
Show?
Hey, there you go.
That's pretty cool.
No, I mean, hey, if you've got reasons behind the takes, if you've got things to back it up, that's better than people just spouting off hot air nonsense with no actual study behind it. I can't stand talking to those types of people.
What I will say is I'm not going to agree with you that Brian Robinson is a better running back than Breece Hall and that Jahan Dotson is the number 1 wide receiver in this year's draft. But I will agree with you in saying both those players were the 2 of, if not the best risers post-combine. They're in the running for it. That stumbled out. But you get my point. They're very high upside guys who got a boost post-combine. So I respect your.
Oh dang, he's up in Saskatchewan. Woof. That's up there.
All right.
That's up there.
What's the town or the city?
Is that where Winnipeg is? I know Saskatchewan's up.
I do not know offhand.
Oh, it's in Manitoba. Sorry. I know it's a huge province. I understand that. I know the provinces; they're not states. I'm not that ignorant. I don't know what the big towns are
in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, now I gotta know. Oh, Saskatoon. There you go.
Saskatoon.
That's the biggest one, apparently.
And that's something, Quinn. That is something that we want to do at some point. Is have people have the ability of calling in and being able to talk to us on stream,
and guests in general. We haven't quite put the setup together yet, but it's on the to-do list to actually have guests with like a little bit more of a prepared, fixed agenda.
Yeah.
A lot of our live streams are kind of just,
whatever happens.
Whatever happens. And I guess that's kind of how I don't know if I would say we've separated ourselves from, or how we kind of differentiate, but we want to have this just be more of a conversation where it's, where y'all are involved. You guys are a part of this. You guys help build the show as it's happening real time, as opposed to you guys just having to listen to us spout off our takes for an hour and a half
on things you might not even be interested in. Right. We saw a lot of that when we were doing like market research and but hey, I
mean, not to hate on anybody else's, game plan or how they approach things, different things work for different people, but so we haven't like quite necessarily gotten to that point where we've established a setup where it's like, okay, now we're going to do a little bit more fixed plan with a guest. But that being said, it's on the
do that for scalability at some point.
It's on the to-do list. It's on the radar. We need to get that put together ourselves on our end. But yeah, man, absolutely.
And we are. I'm gonna call it. We are at the end of this stream, but just a reminder. Memberships are actually now available. We had to advertise that they were available for a long time. They weren't available because we didn't click the button. So my bad, our bad.
Super smart. Big brain energy over here.
Yes, sir. But yeah, memberships are available. As soon as we start getting some members in there, we're gonna have members only streams, members only content. We'll start. And if you look at the perks, in that go along with being a member, you get things like set aside time with us to go over your dynasty league, and you get advice just from us, not on a stream, and we deep dive into your team, things like that. So check out what our membership offers if you are at all interested, and we would love to have you.
We'll have members only videos when the time comes, so
yeah, we're not going to have a backlog for members only, but as soon as we get the first member in there, start making some content for you for sure.
Last thing, Rojo had a Josh Allen trade offer here. Let's
oh snap! All right,
let's answer, because that's your wheelhouse. Let's answer that and then we'll call it. God offered Allen for either Lamar or Fields, plus a slew of
give
picks.
Up Fields. Fields is an unknown commodity at this point. He could crash
Josh
and burn.
Allen, yeah.
I'm not giving up Lamar.
Yeah, I would keep Lamar because of the picks that you would have to also give up. But if I can give up Fields plus those picks and get the Dynasty 101 in Superflex for the next 10 years.
Yes.
Yeah, Rojo, if somebody's willing to give you Josh Allen, he's like one of those dudes where it's almost like, okay, whatever it takes. Within reason, of course, but like he again, in Superflex, he is the 101 for the next 10 years.
He's the number one option at the most important position in Superflex Dynasty. So
for the next decade.
If you give up a quarterback prospect that you're not quite sure on, plus 2 firsts and a bunch of ancillary picks, that's fine. You have
you pair him with Lamar.
Yeah. Then you can win regardless of basically whoever's on your team. And Rojo, I know you got other good players on your team. So yeah, that's a winning move. It's a winning move.
I would take that. I would take that.
And yo, go Lions for sure, Troy. Go Lions. Mike Diggs. Member leagues would be pretty cool. As soon as we have,
we will
10
have.
to 12,
Yep, we will have member.
In there.
Yep, that'll be a perk of members. That'll be a perk as members. We will, if we get enough interest, we would establish a special league that John and I would co-commission, that everybody could, or that that you could join and play with us for fun.
Yeah,
so,
we would need 12 people to join in with us on the membership journey, and then we'd have live streams where we could talk about whatever's happening in the league that we're in.
Sure.
And it would be a lot of fun. It'll be a lot of fun to do that with you guys. So it would be great if you guys would become members.
Interest.
Yeah.
If there's interest.
And we don't have a Patreon, Rojo Fish. It's just a membership on the channel. You go to our channel page, and it should be a button there saying membership or
join.
Member.
Yeah, there should be an option to just say join or something to that.
Yeah,
effect.
we would love
and then
to
there's
have you.
different layers. There's different layers to the memberships. So
And
then,
you'll
of course,
get added to our members only part of our Discord, which we haven't been Nick set up. We haven't used a ton.
We gotta push that. We gotta push the Discord a little bit more. We haven't used that as much, but we do have a Discord as well. The link should be. Do we have the link in this?
It's in the
body in the description. Yeah, it is. It's our first link. So if you're interested in that, and members would get exclusive access to a private channel in there as well. So a little bit more direct access to us, just for either questions or just general conversation.
Yeah, and hey, it'd be a lot of fun to have some members only streams and have some exclusivity.
Members only streams as well.
Just to get to talk to a few of you guys and go a little bit more in depth into your teams, your leagues, getting to know y'all as people. So
and then whatever else.
It'll be fun. So
yes, sir.
If any of you guys are interested, we'd love to have you. If not, we still love having you in these regular live streams.
That's okay too.
We're here every Tuesday and Thursday, 6 p.m. EST.
Yep. We'll be back. We will be back next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Barring anything crazy over the weekend happening, in which case we could always potentially go live for.
Yep.
But if not, if not, everybody enjoy the tournament. If you guys if anybody's into March Madness at all, if anybody's into basketball, any other free agency fallout that happens, obviously we'll all have our ears plugged into that. And enjoy the weekend. I know it's a little too early to say that, but we won't, in the event that we're not back before then.
And go Bills. Von Miller, what's up?
Von Biller?
That is what my friend just texted me. I'm sure he texted you too. Von Biller.
Von Biller.
Von Biller. All right, y'all. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your week. And we'll talk to you, if not this weekend, next week.
See you guys.